join me in welcoming Jessica Donaldson.
Hello, everyone. Feedback already. So interactive. So I'm going to be talking about trust. And the definition, according to Merriam-Webster, is assured reliance on the character, ability, strength, or truth of someone or something, one in which confidence is placed, dependence on something future or contingent, hope. So most of us know that God is trustworthy. But we, or at least I, have struggled with actually trusting Him. I think part of it is we don't really understand how much we are loved by Him. Because when we understand that, we can't help but trust Him.
Yeah, true.
So Romans 8:28. So we are convinced that every detail of our lives is continually woven together to fit into God's perfect plan of bringing good into our lives. For we are His lovers who have been called to fulfill His designed purpose. We have to allow ourselves to be loved by Him. We have to develop our relationship with God. That's not part of the verse. We have to know how much He loves us and how He sees us. So we have to have what I call relational equity. We have to remember times when God proved Himself trustworthy. In reality, we shouldn't have to have that, but because we're human, we kind of need that in order to build our faith and strengthen our trust in Him. So, regarding relational equity, my oldest son recently had done things that he knew he shouldn't have. And so I was having a conversation with him, and they weren't even like horrible things, but he did it knowing he wasn't supposed to. So I was having a conversation with him, and I was like, you know, when you break trust, it's really hard to rebuild. And I was like, you don't want to break trust with your parents because then they're not going to let you do anything. And then you're going to be stuck at home, being bored and not doing anything. But before that, he had built relational equity that we trusted him in doing, many things. But once he does one thing to break that, it's hard to rebuild. With God, though, we have to allow Him, like I said, to prove Himself. We really shouldn't have to, but I find that that's where we build our trust, is by in these circumstances where it all looks bad and nothing's going right, but you choose to trust Him and He proves Himself. So, most of us have been through difficult times, and a lot of times when it's difficult, we end up focusing on the circumstances instead of focusing on God's promises. So, did we focus on the promise? Did we ask God to give us His peace? So, Bryce was in Iraq when we were first married. He was there for the first year of our marriage. It's a, war zone. Not a very peaceful place. Not typically a very safe place. And, I never really worried about him. And I never could it wasn't explainable because it was the peace that surpasses understanding. And that was God's promise and His gift to me. Because I could have been swayed to and fro with all the stories, all the news, all the media, and I didn't worry. And it was hard for some people to even understand, which, like I said, surpasses understanding. But I focused on that promise of his peace rather than on the circumstances of he's in a war zone. And then I just want to read that. Philippians 4, 6, and 7. Don't be pulled in different directions or worried about a thing. Be saturated in prayer throughout each day, offering your faith-filled requests before God with overflowing gratitude. Tell him every detail of your life. Then God's wonderful peace that transcends human understanding will make the answers known to you through Jesus Christ. And another one, Isaiah 26, 3 and 4. You will keep in perfect peace those whose minds are steadfast because they trust in you. Trust in the Lord forever, for the Lord God is an everlasting rock. So a lot of the time we lack trust because we're afraid. 1 John 4:18, in that it says, perfect love casts out fear. And when you focus on the circumstances, fear, worry, doubt, anxiety, all of these negative feelings and emotions bombard us. We may never understand why things happen, but we don't really need to. Our logical minds want to understand it and figure it out, but that's in opposition to trust. We need to rest in his promises and not try and figure it out. So Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord completely and do not rely on your own opinions. With all your heart, rely on him to guide you, and he will lead you in every decision you make. Become intimate with him in whatever you do, and he will lead you wherever you go. So, many years ago, Bryce had applied at Ash for a position as a hospital police officer. And I don't know if anybody knows anything about Ash, but they take a really long time to hire people. So he had applied, gone through this really long process, all the testing, all the whatever, interviews. And it was probably, like a 9-month or so process. And they were like, all right, we are going to offer you the job, but we just have to check your background one more time. Once that comes back, then we'll give you like the official offer and your start date and whatever. And I was like, yes, this is gonna be so great. Like, Bryce is gonna have like a steady job, and like in my mind, this was God providing, right? I was like, this is gonna be so good. And because, I like to plan things anyway, which is why trust is hard. And and he had kind of jumped around to jobs here and there, so I was like, okay, this is like one that could be long lasting. And then he got a phone call, and they were like, did you know you have a warrant out for your arrest? What? I was like, no, actually I didn't know that. And it was like, okay, so they basically said, well, you can withdraw your application, and we can pretend like this never happened, or you can continue with the process, and we cannot offer you the job, and it will go on your record for forever. So, he withdrew his application, but what had happened was, he had gotten an exhibition of speed ticket. He was at a stoplight and took off and the tires like squeaked. He really wasn't even going that fast. And he got pulled over. And the police officer was less than kind. And basically, gave him a ticket. And Bryce basically told him, like, this is ridiculous and I'm gonna fight it. And they're like, okay, great, we'll wait till you get the thing in the mail and you can fight it. Thank you. And, well, he never got anything in the mail because it's a misdemeanor and it's a mandatory court appearance. So, that court appearance that they put on the ticket that's never actually the date that you're supposed to go, it was the date he was supposed to go, and he had no idea because I don't even think the cop knew because I didn't tell him. And so, here this great plan of him getting this great job was bye-bye. And so, because I wasn't actually trusting God, I had put my trust in a box. Because my logic was, oh yeah, this makes sense. This is going to work out great. So I wasn't trusting the Lord completely, like the verse talks about. And I was relying on my own opinions. You know, the direct opposite of what you're supposed to do. And what I thought was best. And then, of course, since then, he works now at Diablo, which I think is much better than Ash.
Agreed.
But I mean, that wasn't like, you know, the next day that happened or anything, but it was like, it was really eye-opening for me because here I thought I was trusting, and I was just like, no. You were trusting what you thought was a good plan.
That's right.
And so another one is where I think I'm doing better in trusting the Lord. It's just recently, which is kind of small, but our dog, Ruger, who we just think is great, he's only a year old, and we just found out he has hip dysplasia, which means that his hips don't fit right in the socket, and it can end up being an issue. And it's like, well, that really sucks. But I was like, you know what? Instead of focusing on the circumstances and being like, that really sucks, I wonder if he's ever going to get to run, jump, play, whatever, or how long he's going to be able to walk for, I'm like, you know what? We're going to start praying for his hips. And so I told the kids the other day, I'm like, okay, we're going to pray for Ruger's hips. I'm like, who's ready to pray? And so we've been praying for Ruger's hips. And so I'm choosing to trust. I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know if anything's going to change. But rather than focusing on the circumstances that says this isn't going to go well, I'm choosing to trust the Lord.
Amen.
So a couple more verses, which there's so many verses on trust. They're all good.
Right.
So it's hard for me to narrow it down, but a few more that I wanted to touch on is Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Oh, no, not that one. Psalms 27, 14. Here's what I've learned through it all. Don't give up. Don't be impatient. Be entwined as one with the Lord. Be brave and courageous and never lose hope. Yes, keep on waiting, for he will never disappoint you. And then Psalms 37, 5. Give God the right to direct your life. And as you trust him along the way, you'll find he pulled it off perfectly.
True.
Just a couple more. Jeremiah 17, 7 and 8. But blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord. His confidence is in him. They will be like a tree planted by the water that sends out its roots by the stream. It does not fear when heat comes. Its leaves are always green. It has no worries in a year of drought and never fails to bear fruit. And then Psalms 37, 3. Keep trusting in the Lord and do what is right in his eyes. Fix your heart on the promises of God, and you will be secure, feasting on his faithfulness. So, in summary, like I started out with, I think that trust is one of those things that's really easy to know about, but a lot harder to walk out. And I think that the more we walk in it, the more we forget about the circumstances and focus on the promises. Mm-hmm. And that's when you find joy in everything. And you know that God works all things for good.
Sure.
And a song that I sang the other day reminded me also of this. It's Peace Be Still. So some of the lyrics, it says, I don't want to be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to fear the storm just because I hear the roar. I don't want to fear the storm. Peace be still, say the word and I will. Set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Oh, peace be still, you are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. And then it's like, repeats a lot of it. I'm not gonna be afraid. Because these waves are only waves. I'm not gonna be afraid. You are greater than its roar. I'm not gonna fear the storm. And I thought that was a good example of trusting in the Lord and looking at his promises rather than the waves and the roars around us. And I think just the more we lean in, the more our relationship with the Lord grows and we nurture that and we know that love that he has for us and our identity in him. That's where the root of that trust is because we know that we know that we know that he loves us. And of course, he doesn't want anything bad for us. He only wants good for us. So, which is what makes him completely trustworthy. We just have to believe it.
Sure.
With your song I was created before the dawn of time. Printed on your breath is every moment of my life.